Anger, resentment, longing. All these emotions intermingled within me. I walked down the hallway, oblivious to the world around me. I stopped only when we reached the lockers. I looked around the schoolyard. What if she was still here? Nico-kun? Himitsu ventured timidly. What? I snapped back, turned around and realized I was still holding her hand. Sorry. I let go. Did something happen? Don't say it didn't. I can see something's wrong. Kyosuke-san looked agitated too. Kyosuke? I snickered. The only thing likely to agitate him is some unrealistically shaped anime girl. The look in Himitsu's large eyes didn't change. I meant that he was telling me about another anime again. You know, the one about magical girls. They showed it at 6. You must have seen it. Why was I lying to her? Why was I lying now? I knew I couldn't hide Catherine forever. Sooner or later, Himitsu was going to run into her at school. Or worse yet, Catherine would show up at her house. They did know each other, after all. Anyway, it's nothing. Let's go to your store. Where'd you say it was again? By the station? Himitsu wasn't going to pry. It wasn't in her nature. Guess what? So the teacher asked Reikun today, when did man first land on the moon? And you know what he said? 2079. Can you believe it? Mm-hmm. And then, during PE, Himitsu carried on as though nothing happened. Maybe nothing did, where she was concerned. The store wasn't too impressive from outside. Maybe it was the low prices that drew girls in. By the standards of our school, Himitsu's family wasn't terribly wealthy, but her father worked for the government, so they weren't poor either. Oh, there's a train. We went inside. Himitsu was trying on one outfit after another. How do you like it? It's fine. How about this one? I think this color will be in fashion this winter. It's fine. What do you think of this dress? It's fine. A little discontent was starting to seep into her voice. Yo, I love this about this guy. When he's just totally disinterested in shit, he just repeats the same shit. Like during the whole, cherry blossom scene. And it's like, those cherry blossoms look nice. Really? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. It's just like, yes. I like the last one better. Well, I knew what she tried on before. I was in no mood for a fashion show. To me, Himitsu looked good in any outfit, true. Why does she even need all this stuff? Did she not have enough clothes? Really? Why? I had known Himitsu for a long time, but I couldn't recall her ever being in a relationship. But she wasn't a child anymore. She was a beautiful young woman. It was out time for her to get a boyfriend. Maybe she's trying. Hold it. Was I feeling jealous? No, of course not. Anyway, if she'd found somebody, I would have been the first to hear about it. I think what matters is that you like it. But I like a lot of them. I like this and this. This one, not so much. Himitsu was shuffling through the clothes. What had she done to deserve this treatment from me? Catherine is back. I said, trying to be casual. What? She seemed not to have grasped what I said. She showed up in class today, right before the last lesson. I guess we're going to be classmates now. Yeah. She put together this whole shopping trip. She wanted to put on outfits, try to show out for Nico, my boy here. And now she's finding out. And now he's like, oh yeah, my ex is back in town. I was like, oh, shit. Drops the fucking clothes to the ground. All of a sudden, her plans to try to, show off for Nico, they're down the toilet because, ex is back in town. Really? Himitsu became instantly miserable and dropped the dress she liked so much. I see you're not too happy. I'm happy. I just thought she had moved away permanently. Well, that's what I thought too. And what is she planning to do now? What do you mean? I mean... Himitsu was hurriedly putting the clothes back on the rack. Yep. Mm-hmm. She's been gone so long. You're seniors already. Honestly, I didn't ask her about her life plans. Hell, I didn't even talk to her. Well, what about you? Are you glad, Nico-kun? She asked gently. I wouldn't call the situation straightforward, but what's there to be glad about? You know full well what happened last year. Yeah. Well, that's all in the past now. We'll see what happens. I'm sure she has her reasons. At least I didn't have to keep lying to Himitsu. Sure, I hadn't told her everything, but what was the point of dumping all my worries on her? In the end, this was between me and Catherine. Are you not going to buy anything? She paused to think.
No, everything's very expensive here, and I'm almost out of allowance for the month.
But it's only the 7th, I exclaimed. Well, let me get you a present then. That white and yellow dress looked good on you.
No, it didn't.
Himitsu countered unexpectedly.
I look fat in it.
You? Fat? I laughed loudly, drawing annoyed looks from the store clerks and the other shoppers. See, that's why I didn't want to come, I whispered. Himitsu just smiled and said nothing back. We hardly talked on the way home. I felt awkward. Now would have been a great time to hear stories about Reikun or Saya-chan, who couldn't hit a volleyball over the net. I don't feel bad because of Katya.
I feel fine.
Come on, I can see it. Don't worry, I'll be alright. It's been long enough.
The important thing is that you believe that yourself.
Damn! Himitsu digging in. I do. It's just all a bit unexpected. But you know how she is. She comes uninvited, leaves without saying goodbye, always self-centered. I smiled involuntarily. Himitsu noticed and grew even sadder. Thankfully, by then we'd already approached my house. Well, I'll be off. See you tomorrow?
See you.
I wanted to say something else, but instead just watched as she walked through the gate. Damn. I spent the rest of the day trying futilely not to think about Catherine. If I continued like this, I was going to lose my mind. Every 5 minutes the phone rang. I didn't pick up because I knew it was Kyosuke. Who else would be calling me? It's Catherine. When it came to that crazy otaku, I was lucky he wasn't pounding on my door. In the end, I unplugged the phone. Nice. I tried to keep myself distracted with TV and video games, but they got boring quickly. I even did some homework for a change. Played the bass for a bit. Oh, homie playing bass? Oh, my guy. And fixed myself a simple dinner. Needless to say, I would have rather eaten Himitsu's cooking. But she must have been busy. Not that Himitsu was under any obligation to make meals for me on a daily basis, but I was used to it. Thinking about it, I realized that my habits had become an integral part of my life, to the point where they started to take center stage in it. Catherine's reappearance was threatening to throw everything off balance. It was like I'd grown senile and flabby in the past year and a half, to the point where I craved stability above all. But why did I need chaos in my life if nothing good was going to come of it anyway? Suddenly the doorbell rang. It was probably Himitsu, but at this hour? I don't think the hour really matters. I'm pretty sure she called us at 3 in the morning last time. Like, at this hour, I don't think there's any hour that that woman would not show up at. I think given the current circumstances, it's definitely not her, because she's kind of depressed right now, but I don't know what you mean by at this hour. I slowly made my way towards the door. But halfway a thought struck me. Why would Himitsu need to use the bell? Then it had to be Kyosuke, although it was definitely late for him. The evening routine for my well-fed friend was anime followed by bed. But whatever. It's Catherine. But there was nobody at the door at all. Oh. I looked around and walked outside, but the street was empty. Stupid pranksters. Yet someone had definitely been here, as on the way back I discovered a note on the doorstep. The note read, Nikolai-san, be careful. You are in grave danger. Certain very powerful people linked to your father are after you. This is not a prank or a hoax. Oh. Yeah, sure. Next in order would be a busty magical girl in my living room, ready to obey my every command. Kyosuke! I shouted. This isn't funny. Why bring my dad into this? My parents... The incident. They fled the Soviet Union when I was 7. In Japan, they worked as regular engineers at Kobayashi Corporation. After they passed, I had the option of going back to the USSR to live with my relatives, but I ended up staying since I'd lived in Japan for most of my life. My father's friends had helped take care of the legal formalities, while his bank account kept me from starving. Kyosuke? I called out, less confidently this time. The only reply I got was from a neighbor who barked something about it being nighttime and my yelling. Well, maybe it wasn't Kyosuke. But then, who? If the note was a joke, its author had failed to deliver the punchline. And what if there was a simpler explanation? What if it was for real? I twiddled the note between my fingers. It was an ordinary piece of notebook paper, carefully clipped. The words were Japanese, written in a steady hand, although the spelling left something to be desired. Why write by hand at all, I wonder? Wouldn't it have been simpler to type out the message? Or in a pinch, clip words from a newspaper and assemble the note like in those cheesy crime shows? At least I could rule Kyosuke out. I would have recognized his handwriting. You are in grave danger. Link to your father. What if it were those punks? Just because their parents were loaded didn't mean they had A's in Japanese. Or maybe Ellie-sama's servants had decided to take revenge for the cafeteria incident. No, that was ridiculous. Ultimately, who would bother with a regular Japanese student? And why now, of all times? Right on the heels of Catherine's return, too. To be honest, I couldn't remember how good Catherine's Japanese grades were. I couldn't remember her handwriting either, but I knew she spent considerably less time in Japan than I. Catherine had been a decent, but not straight-A student, after a year and a half without practice. At any rate, she was the prime suspect now. It didn't even occur to me to ask why. Her motives had stopped making sense to me long ago. Either way, I had to try to find some answers at school tomorrow. But now it was time for bed. I hadn't felt so worn out at the end of a day in a long time. But sleep wouldn't come. I kept tossing and turning, getting mad at myself for it. Meanwhile, the clock ticked past midnight. I flinched and pricked up my ears. Perhaps I'd imagined it. Not again. I hopped out of bed, eyes scanning the room for anything I could use to defend myself. The base wouldn't do. I walked up to the door on stiff legs and asked in a shaky voice, "Who is it?"
Nico-kun?
I breathed a sigh of relief and opened the door. Do you know what time it is?
Sorry, but your phone was off.
So? Is there reason to turn up here in the dead of night?
No, but I tried calling several times. I wanted to know if you were going to school tomorrow.
If you're so concerned about my attendance, you shouldn't wake me up in the middle of the night.
I'm sorry.
Suddenly I felt bad. Himitsu was just being herself while I was taking my problems out on her. She wasn't the one who had brought Catherine back or left the note. No, it's my fault. I should be apologizing. It's been an awful day. I mean, it's been a tough day. Very busy. And I was already asleep. Trying to sleep, at any rate.
Okay, I'll be going then.
Good night. I shut the door behind her and returned to bed. If today was tough, then what would tomorrow be like? The next day. "100 bells chimed with 100 melodies in my head, announcing the morning. In that medley were the cheerful chirping of the birds, the construction on a neighboring street, the boisterous shouts of street vendors, the damned fan that hadn't quit humming for a second, and the grumpy muttering somewhere close by. This is the same exact... Okay. It's repeating a bit. The fixed gaze of large green eyes, the pouting lips, and the 2 red braids. Hold on. This had already happened before. I jumped out of bed, stared in bewilderment at Himitsu, and blurted out, "What day is it today?"
Tuesday.
She replied, frightened.
What's wrong?
Tuesday, huh? Alright then. Tuesday it is then. I scanned the room meticulously. The open notebook I had tried doing my homework on the night before was still in the same spot, which meant that everything was fine. Just felt like tomorrow hadn't come. What were you thinking, you were stuck in a time loop or something? That'd be crazy, my guy, imagine.
What do you mean?
Well, like when you wake up and today is still yesterday. Like in a sci-fi novel. What? That'd be wild, my guy.
You read too many of those.
Himitsu laughed. Things did seem to be running their normal course. Except I now became aware of a peculiar smell. I sniffed the air. Is that?
Yes, well, I prepared breakfast ahead of time.
A big pot of borscht sat on the stove. Good lord, but why?
Didn't you ask for some yesterday?
No, I didn't. I just mentioned it in passing. It was a joke.
Well, you know what?
She said menacingly.
You're going to have to eat this joke now.
Soup for breakfast. Now that was certainly unorthodox. Himitsu had outdone herself this time. Suppose yesterday I had said something about foie gras in 1978 Chateau Margaux. Would they be awaiting me now too? In any case, the borscht tasted quite good. Granted, it wasn't exactly a traditional recipe.
Well,
Himitsu was sitting across from me, looking at me intently. Why aren't you eating?
I'm waiting to hear what you think.
Oh, yeah, sorry, it's delicious.
Really?
She didn't believe me. Yes, yes, really. Why wouldn't it be? Himitsu tried the borscht.
True enough. Now don't you dare complain about my cooking again.
When did I ever complain? You just don't get my humor.
I do get it.
I thought it was just some lighthearted banter, but Himitsu didn't look her usual self. Every so often, a shadow of sadness passed over her face. Did something happen?
No, what about you?
What about me? At that moment, the events of the previous day flashed before my eyes. The surprise awakening and the borscht had temporarily made me forget about Catherine and the note. Everything's fine, just a bit unexpected. Don't worry, I'll be alright.
Good, if you say so.
She smiled.
Let's go, or I'll be late for school.
We exchanged only a few words along the way. Somehow, we just couldn't find a suitable subject for conversation. I didn't want to tell Himitsu about the note just yet, and she probably hadn't had anything happen to her overnight that was worth sharing. Sure, I could have talked about some random stuff, but that wasn't my thing. Finally, we reached the school. No incidents today, I hope. I hemmed. Alright, see ya.
Don't sleep in class.
Himitsu smiled and headed for the classroom. Okay, now I had to think of a way to snag Catherine's notebook without anyone noticing. Oh, to compare handwriting. I was like, why are we stealing her notebook? I was like, I'm like, whoa, sir, I think you left me out of the loop here. Like, I, as the reader, should kind of like be in your thought process here. We missed a few steps. I hope she'd written something in it, preferably in Japanese. I was walking down the hallway, lost in thought, when someone called my name. Colonel Sanders! Anoki good. Hold it there. School principal. What was his name? Yes, Kiyama-sensei? What is it? Follow me to my office, please. But class is about to start. I protested like this sort of thing was something new to me. It won't take long. A wiry old man in his 70s, maybe even older, Kiyama-sensei was always cloyingly? Polite and cold. On top of that, he dressed and carried himself in a strictly European manner. European? I'd say he looks more American, maybe like in the South, kind of near Kentucky. I'd always been shocked by how devoted some Japanese people were to the Western lifestyle and culture. I could think of any number of sayings on the subject along the lines of "to thine own self be true," or "finger looking good," although here, this has become something of tradition in its own right. This was, after all, an elite school. What's the issue exactly? Anoki-kun. No keen. Okay. Anoki-kun, please come along. Well, naturally, he wasn't going to reprimand me in the middle of the hallway. In view of the entire school, was he? I went to his office, but someone was already there. Ellie? Huh. Well, if it isn't Ojo-sama herself. Standing next to the principal's desk was, in fact, Ellie-sama.
The board from yesterday.
She seemed equally surprised to see me here. Yesterday's cafeteria incident came back to me in vivid detail. The madam did give me a kerchief in the end, to wipe myself, and I tossed it into the dirty laundry at home. Whoops, I needed to return it.
Let me guess, you're a frequent visitor here?
She asked sarcastically. Well, I certainly didn't expect to find myself groveling at your Grace's feet today. That'll be all, Kobayashi-san. Kobayashi? Well, last name sounded familiar. Ellie bade the principal a polite farewell and walked past me, shooting me an angry look. So, Anoki-kun, you know why you're here? I've got a couple of theories. The principal sighed and gave me a sad look from behind his glasses. Anoki-kun, I understand the Japanese culture is alien to you, but here at this school, we have students of every nationality. We endeavor to provide all of them with the best opportunities. In return, we expect an appropriate level of respect and adherence to the school rules. There we go. I think you ought to understand this, especially considering your situation. What about my situation? Let's not make this personal now. No, what I meant was... Embarrassed, he removed his glasses and began wiping them slowly with a special cloth. I meant to say that we make no distinctions between our students. The rules are the same for everyone. I understand. I understand that that's bullshit. In that case, you must also understand that you can't just skip classes for no reason. put his glasses back on and gave me a hard look. And speaking of your attendance record, I understand. If you understand, why do you keep skipping classes? Do you know who sponsors our school? I shrugged. Kobayashi Corporation. This name does mean something to you, does it not? The company's president himself is chairman of our school's board of trustees. The centuries-old traditions. At that point, I tuned him out. Kobayashi Corporation and Kobayashi Ellie. Things were adding up. Interesting. I wondered, would she still be the school queen if she had been born into an ordinary family? A family like Iwamura's, for instance. Anoki-kun, what's that smirk for? Did I say something funny? I'm very sorry, Kiyama-sensei. This will not happen again. I bowed to the ground. Alright, that's enough. The old man apparently hadn't been expecting this degree of repentance from me. I've seen the error of my ways, and I promise this will never happen again. Well, that's the most important thing, the fact that you understand. And don't let it happen again. Very well, go now, or you'll be late for class. Thank you very much. I'm going now. He's not gonna... okay. I thought he was gonna reprimand us for, punching a dude in the face. I thought, the principal would probably be kind of pissed about that one, but I guess not. He was just like, no, bro, just show up to class. I don't care if you're assaulting your other people in the school. Just show up. We need these good attendance records. I formally took my leave and marched out of his office. So why didn't you tell me that this Ellie-sama of yours is a Kobayashi? There were still a couple of minutes left before beginning of the lesson. I did tell you. No, you didn't. You said her grandfather was the chairman of the board of trustees, as if I'm supposed to know who the chairman is. That's the problem. You never know anything. Anyway, why do you ask? I got called into the principal's office just now. For skipping class? Why else? At that moment, the bell rang. Only now did I remember Catherine. Her seat was behind me, so I couldn't watch her constantly. Yeah, it's probably for the best. Was she writing anything down? How was I going to grab her notebook unnoticed anyway? Unsurprisingly, I was hardly at all anxious. Sleep had cleared my mind, and I found the whole situation more intriguing than troubling. I love how there's only two modes for this classroom. Either the entire left side of it, it's every desk except for the right column is all filled up, or there's one single dude in the right column. Catherine got up and left the classroom. This is my chance. I slowly approached her desk, trying to look as inconspicuous as possible. I glanced around. My classmates were all minding their own business. I leaned down, opened the notebook, flipped through the pages. Now, the handwriting was completely different. He's gonna get caught. But how? Why? Sure, I had some issues with Japanese characters, but this much was obvious. Catherine did not write yesterday's note. Anoki-kun! I stood at attention. Caught, exposed, disgraced. Go to the teacher's room with Iwamura-san and bring the printouts for the next lesson. That was close. Oh, Iwamura-san! I got you, teach. You can count on me. I got it. I looked at Iwamura. She stood nearby, staring indifferently out the window. Right now, I only wanted to get out of the classroom as quickly as possible. Hi. Well, should we get going? I can go alone. She didn't even look in my direction. But we were told to go together? I'll manage by myself. Under different circumstances, I would have gladly agreed with her. Listen, I understand and all, but I've already been to the principal's office today, and I'm not burning with a desire to go back. Suit yourself. Iwamura shrugged and headed towards the door.